Faisal from the Maadin, the Metalheads, and tonight we're in Ottawa with the one and only Kenny from Anciients. And after a long hiatus and 2 Juno winning records, Anciients are back with Beyond the Reach of the Sun, a record that feels heavier, more dynamic, and also more personal than ever. So Kenny, great to have you with us right here.
Thank you for having me.
So, listening to Beyond the Reach of the Sun, especially Forbidden Sanctuary, as an opener, it feels like stepping into a whole new chapter for the band. What did you What did you finishing this record represent for you personally?
Well, we had a couple member changes since the last record. And I think it served the writing process really well. I
Mhm.
think, we kind of made a more dynamic record than we had in the past. And, there's I think a lot more peaks and valleys that sort of work their way into each other well. And it's, we're really proud of it once we finally had it laid down and finished.
Okay, so when you first heard the final version of the album, did it feel like more like a closure, or like a reopening, specifically after songs like "Is It Your God"?
Yeah, I guess it would be kind of a bit of both. Like, it's always a feeling of triumph once you kind of put the final stamp on something that you've been working on for so long. So in that way, it was closure, but also like a rebirth because we've been fairly inactive for almost an 8-year period. And yeah, it just felt nice to kind of get back on the horse, and we all feel reinvigorated, and the band that we have now just feels like the best we've ever had, and everyone's just happy to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about the years behind the silence. So between Voice of the Void and like the last record, Beyond the Reach of the Sun, there's kind of a huge gap, like you said, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
That sounds like despoiled. It feels like they carry that weight.
hmm
What are those years like really, really for you?
um well, a lot went on. Like, I had my son, so my first child,
Oh,
and
congratulations.
yeah,
Hey,
and it was 10 years ago now, but
late
when when when
congratulations.
when we we're kind of writing for the follow-up to The Voice of the Void, that's when all that was going on, and my wife had troubles kind of at birth. So it was kind of a 2-year road of her recovery that was taking up a lot of time in my life, right? So kind of put the band to the side during those years and focus more on family. Um, then when we are getting ready to kind of get back into it, um, the COVID thing hit. And then we had members changing. So it was kind of just like a snowball effect of things not going the way that they should.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it was just a lot of hiccups along the way. We always knew that the band would continue and we would eventually get to it. We were always in contact and sharing ideas, but just had to take some time away to focus on family and make sure everybody's happy
Yeah.
and healthy, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
And yeah, appreciate it. And thank you so much for sharing something that personal with us right here
hmm
on Madin. And also, do you think everything that happened in that time period literally shaped the emotional depth we hear in songs like, for example, Beyond Our Minds?
Yeah, like you know, in a way, it was one of the more personal records to me myself because it was the first time I actually wrote all of the lyrics. Like, our old bandmate Chris, he did a good majority of the lyrics in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, definitely a new undertaking. Like, I had definitely written for songs previously, but it was kind of the first time that, you know, things got a little more personal, and it was, you know, I needed some shit to write about.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously a lot of it's all spoken through metaphor and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it was, kind of huge for me to express my inner angst through through the album.
Right? It's fair. That's something that gave us something really deep and personal for us to enjoy also.
Hmm.
Much appreciated.
You bet.
And on also on Beyond the Reach of the Sun, you're fully stepping into that vocal and lyrical role, as you mentioned, especially on like Meld the Crown.
Yeah.
How did that change your approach?
Well, I've I've kind of done both styles of vocals since the very beginning, right? So I pretty much handled the bulk of it aside from a couple tracks here and there right from the beginning. So
Mhm.
that was, there wasn't really too much difference. I might have just had a little bit more confidence compared to previous records. This band is kind of when I actually started attempting to sing, right? So it took a few years to get comfortable. One day we might get there.
From what I've heard earlier, you're already way past there.
Nah.
And also, like speaking a little bit of evolution,
Yeah.
if you compare something like Cloak of the Vast and Black to the earlier material,
Hmm.
there's more space and atmosphere. Was that an intention? Just happened like that.
Um, I don't think it was intention. Like our other guitar player, Brock, and myself, that particular song was um like two different ideas of ours stuck together. So we kind of had the intro and the outro, and I kind of put the meat in the sandwich, so to speak. Um, but yeah, it's we don't typically write with intent to do something. It's basically just if an idea, a musical idea gets us stoked and it's something that we want to further develop, that's pretty much the only kind of rule that we have when writing. We're not kind of trying to get more groovy or crunchy or right?
Yeah,
It's just, stuff that we dig, and if it cuts the mustard, we'll further develop it.
fair. And did you feel ever any tension between keeping the crushing identity of Ancient and exploring dynamics like on songs like The Torch?
Not at all. No, like from the get-go with this band, it's just been, we'll do whatever makes us happy, and that's basically it. Like there's still crushing parts on there, but there's definitely softer parts as well, and but a lot more, I guess, grunge aspects to this record. I personally feel, and I was a huge fan of all the '90s bands, so I think it kind of had a bit of an impact on this record, and we're kind of stoked to, introduce some of those sounds.
Right.
Yeah.
And also also on the same record, tracks like "Is It Your God" and "Despoil."
Hmm.
I'm gonna circle back again to the personal side of your songwriting.
Yeah.
They feel very, very personal. Was writing this album a release or did it make things heavier?
Um, it was a release. Like the "Is It Your God" thing was a very personal thing to me. Just about basically a buddy of mine that had passed away from cancer when I was in my early 20s, right? So it'd been a long time since I wrote anything about it, right? So that's basically what that song is. It's probably the deepest song on the record as far as, personal situations are involved.
I understand.
Hmm.
And was there anything like actually hard for you to record?
Some of the writing of the lyrics, like you drum up a lot of old feelings that, you know, can kind of grab you by the balls sometimes, right? But,
Yeah,
it worked.
it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. It worked.
Oh, yeah.
And you scrapped again a lot of material before landing on this version.
Hmm.
What wasn't working?
Um, I don't know. We typically don't, I don't know, me personally anyways, like I'm pretty like meticulous as far as what I'll show the other guys, and I don't like tend to throw things away too often. I just try and figure out ways to rework them, or
Mhm.
some ideas can be stagnant for a long time, and you kind of just throw them away, and then 5 years later you're going through your files and, oh, I actually
Like this.
dig that, maybe. And then you might have a new perspective on it, like where you might hit a roadblock at one point, and then if you hear it down the road, you might hear something to go along with it, right? So, but yeah, like when I'm writing, I just you know go ADHD and just uh how many ways can I do this? So I usually spend a lot of time on the stuff that I'm writing before I send it to the guys. So it's
Yeah.
typically the stuff that we share together. We don't necessarily fully can. It might just not ever see the light of day of the band members.
And that got you not one, but two Juno Awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, one for the Voices of the Void, and the other one for Beyond the Reach of the Sun.
Yes.
And uh, ha- like it's two different albums for
Hmm.
two different eras of the band. So do they feel different to you?
Like the Junos or the albums?
Yeah. So when did the Junos for two different albums?
Yeah, like we never expect even a nomination, right? The first one we won, we were actually touring in Europe, so we weren't there to
That's
collect the
yeah,
award. But yeah, for this record, like we're all super surprised to be nominated again, and it was in our hometown of Vancouver.
yeah,
So it was a really cool night, and it was very special to be involved in the awards, and actually go to the ceremony and do the whole thing, right?
yeah.
Um, they booked us on a show that night, so we literally did like a sound check,
Hmm.
sped to the hotel, like got suits and all the bullshit on, and then went to the awards. Ended up winning, which was completely insane to us. Like it wasn't expected,
Yeah,
especially given the amazing artists that we're kind of up against in
there.
for the award. So yeah, we weren't expecting it, and then yeah, it was just a huge kind of rush, and then we whipped from there back to the theater we were playing and performed. So it was quite a wild night. I wouldn't suggest playing on the
The
night
same
of the
night.
awards, especially if you win.
And like, how did it feel for you to be recognized? And also, did it change your views on your own music?
No, it didn't. Like it felt very cool. Like it's kind of a special thing, but it doesn't really change anything. It's we're not ever seeking awards,
Yeah,
especially to that degree when we're writing. Like it's like I said, it's even a nomination is a crazy thing to think about, right? So
fair.
it's just pretty amazing to receive it, but it doesn't change our outlook on how we write or the music that we play. It's basically just a personal thing. It's a honk.
That was weird.
Yeah.
So, if you're gonna talk a little bit about the evolution of the sound and expanding it in
Hmm.
songs like Candescence,
Hmm.
introducing synth and atmosphere, what pushed you into that direction?
Well, I've always loved that kind of music, or that element in like Pink Floyd and stuff like that, and the old prog rock. And yeah, like we had like Melt the Crown, Man, Is It Your God, um, like fully demoed before we were recording.
Mhm.
And our friend Justin, he also plays in 3 Inches of Blood. He plays
Synths?
synths and keys as well. And I just was like, you know, here's these demos. Like, if you can add something to them, that would be great. And then like he literally like later that night sent me back a version of Is It Your God with all that crazy shit at the end, like the Uriah Heep fucking
Going at
keyboard. Yeah.
it.
And I was just like, holy shit. Like it really added a whole new kind of element to those songs. So yeah, it's like we're kind of excited to further explore those elements on new material. Yeah.
And now that you're back on the road again, how does it feel playing those songs with synths live?
Well, it's good, but we haven't really been playing with them live because Justin doesn't necessarily tour with us. There has been talks about it, but he has played with us for some local shows around Vancouver,
Mhm.
and it was amazing, right? Like, because we don't play to click tracks or anything. We're just
Yeah.
kind of like old rock band style. So, and we have attempted it before, but it just kind of feels a little bit sterile, especially like compared to when you have that musician there playing those parts. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the one good thing about it is that like the songs were already constructed without those parts. So we're still able to perform them live without
Without
much
synths.
difference.
Yeah.
But when they are there, they do add a whole lot to
Got
and a thickening of the sound, right? So it's kind of one thing I'm grateful for is that, you know, the songs are fine to stand alone on their own. But when we do get the chance to have the synths added, it's just extra special. Yeah. Yeah.
There. I can't wait to see it synthesized, not the the version without synths.
Yeah.
So from Forbidden Sanctuary all the way to the Absence of Wisdom,
Hmm.
that album gives the feeling that it's a full journey.
Yeah.
So my question is it a new beginning or a closing chapter?
I'd say probably more of a new beginning. Just like how I spoke before, it's kind of, you know, new band members, and it's just the unit that we have right now just feels really special. You know, we face some pretty crazy stuff on the road and on our last tours, like, and just everyone was, you know, the greatest spirits ever. And it's like something really shitty happens and you break down. Like, we're of the motto that you can just laugh about it and
Yeah.
figure it out together instead of, you know, anyone having a bad day.
Can you share
Just,
something with us, like something crazy happened on the road?
um, well, the last tour that we did, we, our alternator was going on our bus and, and we kind of suspected it. So we're heading to like Indianapolis. So I'm like calling every kind of shop down there looking for this alternator, but it was like a conversion, a super high output one. So basically nobody had one. And so I asked if like Napa or somebody like, did they know any specialists in alternators kind of thing. So anyways, they put me in touch with this guy
Mhm.
and he's like, yeah, just pull over and take a picture of it. I'm sure I can sort you out. And so we pull over and take a picture, and like 10 minutes goes by. We're like back on the road. All he writes back in a text message is, oh shit. And I was like, oh, that's got to be good. So called him. He's like, yeah, buddy, I don't know what to tell you. He's like, those kind of alternators were discontinued like 10 years ago.
Long time ago.
So, and we're just like, well, whatever, we're going to go play the show. So we had Indianapolis and then we were doing Chicago the next night, and the show had already sold out. So we basically were like, well, we're gonna hit the road early just in case something happens. So at like 2 in the morning, like the battery light fully illuminates on the dash. Like, I don't think
Dang.
we have much time. We pull off the highway. As soon as we got somewhere safe, just lost all power to the van. So it was a long story, but we get towed to a yard, and these two young fellas, they helped us out. Like, they pulled the alternator out to take it to town to see if they could find one. I knew they wouldn't because I had already
Asked
phoned
around.
everywhere. But anyway, so they come back and they're like, yeah, we've got a new bearing. We're gonna pull this thing apart and just put a new bearing in and see if that works. So we had like no sleep at this point. We were like up all night.
Right.
They come back at like 3 p.m. and they changed the bearing. They put the alternator back in, like fired it up, and everything was working great. Like, it was like a whole new bus. We're
Freaking blessing.
so stoked. We're like, yes, we're gonna make loading.
Let's
In like
go.
3 hours, hit the road. 20 miles later, fails again. and we're like right back to where we were. I'm like, call the tow truck. They're like, oh, you're gonna need a big one for that bus, and it's gonna cost you. So I like turn the key on. It worked again. I'm like, just get in. We're like, drive to like the Ford dealership in Indianapolis, like leave the bus there. We had like a half an hour to spare before Enterprise closed. So
Yeah.
we took an Uber, rented a Sprinter, just left our bus there, tossed all of our shit in the rental, and then flew to Chicago, and we didn't end up missing a show. And that was, I think, 9 shows into 13 shows in a row. So it was you know, if anything was gonna happen to morale, it would have in that
Yeah.
situation. So yeah, that was kind of the
And honestly, if
the-
that's not dedication, what is?
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. What is?
So we've got a good team of road dogs here, and everyone's willing to do their
Go above
part.
and beyond.
Yeah, long story long. Yeah.
So, last thing I want to ask you.
Yeah.
If everything stopped tomorrow, so would this album says everything you needed to say or not?
Yeah, like I think it's, obviously I still want to explore further, but it just is what it is. Like we make music for fun, right? It's not like it's great that people enjoy our music and like our music, and it means a lot to us, but first and foremost it's just something that we've all been doing since we were kids for fun, right?
Yeah.
And that's all it's been up to this point, and that's all it will be continuing further, right?
So,
Yeah.
honestly, massive thanks to you, Kenny, and to you guys, Asians, for accepting to be part of our Madin journey. And by the way, Asians are currently touring across Canada, heading cities like Ottawa, Kingston, Toronto, and Vancouver. So make sure you don't miss them live and dive into beyond the reach of the sun before going to any show, from Forbidden Sanctuary all the way to the Absence of Wisdom. It's gonna be a full-ass experience. Right? And if you want to support the band, never forget, I'm gonna get my merch right now. Trust me, guys, it's really fucking cheap. Yeah, that's the first thing that I said to anyone I came in here. Yeah, stream the record and spread the word. It goes a long way. Anything else you want to add, Kenny? Cameron?
We'll be back in Ottawa in August, so keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, and I'll be waiting for you again.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. Again, this is Faisal with Madin. Stay heavy.